Hey guys, stoked to announce that Revelation Records will be sponsoring the next 5 podcasts, 5 episodes with Revelation Records. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you for the amazing soundtrack of my youth. Revelation Records has put out some of the most classic hardcore records in history. Some of the most iconic photos by BJ Pappas are on most of those albums. And most of my friends' bands have put records on Revelation Records. A lot of hardcore history. And I'm super stoked that they're part of the One Life One Chance podcast for the next 5 episodes. The ad is coming up next, and it's fucking loud, and it's awesome.
Hey, this is Sam Sumataro. I sing for a band called Drain from Santa Cruz, California. I'm here to tell you about our debut record called California Cursed, now available on Revelation Records. This summer, we're going on tour with Go to RevelationRecords.com for more. And here's 4 seconds of what we sound like. I'm stoked to be part of the Revelation family. Let's take the remaining 26 seconds to dive into what it means and what's up at Rev. Revelation kicked things off in New York City in 1987 with Warzone, Lower East Side Crew. After that, Gorilla Biscuits, Youth of Today, Judge, Inside Out, Chain of Strength, and many more. The times changed in the early 90s, and Rev was there, with artists like Quicksand, Texas Is the Reason, Farside, and Into Another. There's new music from World Be Free, Constant Elevation, Urban Sprawl, Dare, and reissues of the classics from Inside Out, Side by Side, and Orange 9mm. Check out the Spotify playlist series. It's all at RevelationRecords.com.
Welcome to the One Life One Chance podcast. Today is very special because it's my first time doing a podcast, not at my house, in my kitchen. I'm actually sitting in a van backstage at First Avenue Club in Minneapolis. And I'm sitting here with Milo from the Descendents. Welcome to the podcast.
Here in your van.
Yes.
Here in your van.
This is perfect. So I know this is kind of weird being in the van. We're kind of in the dark. We have no headphones, but it's working. And he just flew in today.
And we can hear Anti-Flag doing sound check in the background.
Yeah, hopefully that'd be awesome. Okay, so this is big for me. If people know me, they know where I grew up. And I actually got the flyer today for the first time I saw you guys in 1985. In Providence, Rhode Island, at the living room. My friend sent me the flyer. I was 15.
Yeah, that was a great club.
That was a great tour. Yeah. That was the first, before I get into the questions, but that was my first time seeing an out-of-town punk band because I grew up with the Verbal Assault guys and Vicious Circle and all those different bands, and then you guys were the first show I went to. Was like a band from another town.
Are you from Rhode Island then?
I'm from Massachusetts.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So that was an amazing experience because I listened to the record and stuff like that. I think that was... I Don't Want to Grow Up tour maybe in 85?
Yeah, it was 85, yeah.
Yeah,
Grow Up.
All right, so before we get to all that, anyway, I got 3 Descendents tattoos. We cover your songs. Love your band.
Get the time.
Get the time, yes. Wow.
With enjoy at the end.
That's right. That's amazing you even know that.
Classic.
Okay, so what I like to do in this podcast is like for people listening that don't really... I'm interviewing people who inspire me, so... In order to see why you inspire me, I want to see kind of what inspired you. So I take it kind of back to the beginning. I have a lot of notes here. I'm in a van, but obviously you were born in California.
Yeah.
What part of California?
I grew up in the Los Angeles, greater Los Angeles area.
Okay.
Bill and I both grew up in the South Bay of LA, and it's the beach cities.
Yeah.
You know, so Black Flag was there and all those other bands. So it was this little burgeoning beach punk scene that we were part of.
Circle Jerks too, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and you have brothers and sisters?
I have 2 older brothers and 1 younger brother. I'm just a middle kid, yeah.
Middle kid?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 brothers. I'm the youngest.
Yeah.
And then how was it growing up for you? Like, we like a strict family, your parents cool? Obviously, we'll get to that song, parents, but growing up.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've led a charmed life. I've had great, I've had great parents.
Yeah.
They were typical, late 60s, early 70s California parents. I mean, I had a fair amount of leeway to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So not strict.
Okay.
And I guess it worked out for me. I'm sure in many cases it may not work out, but they kind of saw that I could make my way in the world and just let me kind of do it. When I first started playing with the band, and it was time, it was time to graduate high school.
Yeah.
My parents definitely were like, well, what's your plan or whatever?
Are you gonna go to college?
Yeah. and I actually went to a community college for a year, and I think they were worried about that. Like, ooh, this is a kid who obviously, could go very far, but he wants to go, And I said, well, look, this is a great experience. I mean, this is a community college. I'm going to transfer into 4-year. So my point in all this is that they kind of just let me run the show, and call the shots. You. Yeah, and trusted me. It worked out for the best, but I give them major props for that.
Yeah, were you good in school? You got good grades and stuff?
Yeah, as in elementary school, I kind of. I guess hadn't found my way as a student. Nobody really does at that age. But I think at some point it clicked with me, like, oh, I could do this, and it could be something I'm good at. So yeah. I did pretty well at school. It wasn't something that I kind of lorded over people about, but I felt like if there's something that you're good at, and then that helps you to kind of enjoy it too. So I did. Yeah. I definitely got to the point where school was something that it wasn't like as a heinous a thing as most people make it out to be.
Yeah. Did you play sports?
I was in cross country in high school.
Wow, that's amazing.
So yeah, it's funny because I look back on that period. It's like I the whole thing with the band is like I got in the band because I was a nerd.
Yeah,
but I was a nerd, but I also did play sports. It was kind of weird to look back because I had to kind of redefine myself after the fact, like. That I actually was kind of like something between a jock and a nerd. If such a thing exists. I don't know.
It might now, but maybe.
Yeah, maybe not then, yeah. And of course, I had glasses from an early age, so I think that's really what, for me, made me more of a nerd than anything else, was the glasses.
Yeah, that's like the stereotype, yeah.
So.
Wow, so you did good in school, you played sport, did cross country and stuff. Did you say cross country, right?
Yeah.
And then... So how were you? Like you said, you were a nerd. Like, were you like kind of a black sheep in school? Did you have a group of friends? Did you feel like an outcast? Did you feel?
Yeah,
like a nerd,
I was.
Or?
I mean, that's the thing is, I think even though I had my cross country crew, I had various people that were my unit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never we never were really accepted by the the BMOCs and and so I felt. I wasn't as big an outcast as, say, someone who, just kind of hold himself up in a room and play computer games all the time. I wasn't that kid, but I definitely like lacked social kind of skills to kind of be a popular kid or whatever.
Yeah.
So I felt a little bit like an outcast, and as did Bill. Bill and I kind of bonded over being outcasts. And I think the thing about me getting into the Descendents is that it kind of coincided with me as a senior just being like, I've just decided I don't care what other people think.
Love that.
I just like, because you go through high school and it's like the first couple of years you're a freshman, sophomore, you're like, oh, don't do anything goofy. Don't do anything that's going to make you people ridicule you.
Yeah.
And so you just keep a really low profile. And then after a while, I was like, fuck that. I just want to do. If I want to be a spaz, I'm going to be a spaz. And if I'm going to be a nerd, I'm going to be a nerd. I should just embrace it. And that's when I got into punk rock, and it all kind of blossomed from that point.
So in your senior year, that's when you got exposed to it, kind of?
Yeah. I mean, I was listening to New Wave probably as a sophomore and as a junior maybe. But then I did discover Rodney on the Rock, the KROQ, and I discovered bands like X and whatnot. And that kind of set me, on the path towards, discovering all that great LA punk that was happening at that time. And then I discovered Bill's band because he came to school with the Ride the Wild single that he was peddling, and I bought it off of him, and it immediately became my favorite band immediately.
Wow.
And I just at that point I went to go see them practice at the church, and just kind of horned my way into their whole scene.
So that was like that's when you actually became. Feel like you became yourself when you were a senior. You're like, fuck it, I'm gonna embrace who I am.
Yeah.
I'm with a bunch of other outcasting freaks. I found this punk rock music. I can express myself and be part of this other family kind of thing, right?
Absolutely. And then the nice thing about it is at that point it was somewhat of a family if you think about it, because all the bands are practicing at the church.
Yeah.
You had Black Flag and Red Cross, and
It's crazy.
and the band called The Last was practicing there, and the Descendents were practicing there, and so it's like you had these some of the older punks who had the wherewithal to put on shows, and they would just have all the other bands on the bill, and they kind of took us under their wing, and it was just a great kind of like I said, family kind of relationship where they would help us out,
Yeah. So you get into the music, and then does Descendants start when you're in high school? Once you get out, does it start as your senior? Descendants?
Oh well, the Descendants. Bill started that when he was, I think, probably a sophomore, and then and they had been together for about a year and a half when I kind of discovered them. So I joined in 80.
In 80?
80, yeah.
Wow.
And like I said, I was a new waver, and I hadn't really.
My girlfriend's a surfer.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
And I'd gone to see Black Flag at the Pollywog Park, which was kind of this legendary show that they did.
Yeah.
But I had no idea who they were at the time. I mean, I watched these guys play, and I was like, what are they doing? Like, because I was still a new wave kid.
Okay.
I knew who Black Flag was, but I hadn't heard of their music, so it all just kind of went over my head. But
probably back then it was crazy too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no one at that Pollywog Park show, it was literally like 20 punks, moshing on stage, and then a bunch of families throwing food at them.
Really?
Because it was supposed to be an outdoor picnic show.
Wow.
So and somehow Black Flag convinced them to let them play. I don't think they really knew who Black Flag were. This is the organizers at the park. The park organizers got them to, and so they start playing, and all these families were assembled at this amphitheater to watch them play, and they're all like, it's a picnic, so everyone's bringing food, and then all of a sudden all the food's landing on stage after a while.
That's crazy. Yeah, so then you joined. So how old were you when you joined Descendants?
I guess I was 17. Yeah.
And so what did your parents think about that? At that, you said they were supportive and stuff, but they also probably wanted, like, you to go to college, all that stuff, and get it,
I mean, I think that they were kind of watching it from afar, kind of just keeping an eye on what was going on with it. Like, okay, where is this going to head? I think this is the great thing about my parents, and I think this is the way parents ought to be, is if a kid shows passion for something, you just kind of let them run with it,
100%.
And just you can keep tabs on whether they're going down a bad path or whatever, but don't shut the door on anything.
Yeah,
that's kind of the thing. So they kept the door open for me to do it, and I guess I rewarded them by not becoming a drug addict. So
yeah. I was going to ask you that. Did you experience with drugs and alcohol when you were young, or no? No,
I didn't. I mean, I think it was all around me, but I just never really, it always was something that was a little bit like, I don't know, a little scary to me, and I was just kind of like, I'm not gonna do that. And so when I got in the band, we were all kind of like, not doing drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
And even though in a punk rock band, of course, you're exposed to that all the time.
100%.
But I think. We were never a straight edge band, but we were never a band that was a druggy band either.
Yeah, just a caffeine band.
Caffeine. That was our main drug. Yeah, that's pretty much happened. After I joined, pretty soon after I joined, Bill was saying, "Hey, I got this friend, and we go out fishing, and he can stay up all night." And I go, "How are you doing that?" And his friend says, "Well, I take these drugs." And then Bill says, "Well, I'm not going to do that. Fuck that." So he would make this thing called a bonus cup.
Yep.
And he would put a bunch of instant coffee into a cup and then fill it up and make this sludge that he would then drink, and then he could stay up all night because they would go out fishing. That was their gig, was to go out fishing all night. So that was how we got into coffee, was through the bonus cup. And that was our drug. That's still our main drug.
Yeah, I think it's the first time I ever even heard like a punk band talking about coffee. All I knew was my mom drank coffee. It was like an adult thing. And then you guys started talking about it. I was like, holy shit, coffee. Yeah. Like, these punk rockers are drinking coffee.
Yeah, and
it's pretty awesome.
I had coffee before, but I think when I joined the band, it was like trial by fire. It was like, oh, I got to drink all this coffee, And I got into the bonus cup too, So we all, because if you have 3 out of the 4 people doing bonus cups and the fourth one's not doing the bonus cups, then he's always behind everyone else.
You have to keep up with you guys.
You got to keep up. Yeah.
So okay, so now you're in Descendants. Do you remember the first show you played being in Descendants?
It
like, was it?
Yeah.
Were you scared?
It was either a show at the Hong Kong Cafe that's in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Or it was a show down in Long Beach at this. We were practicing at this place in Long Beach with this band, the Stingers.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing I do remember, aside from the location, is just that I was really shy. I mean, I'm just like, here I am trying to be a singer, but I came out of this high school background where I was a really kind of a wallflower.
Yeah.
I was just like a shy kid, not really wanting to kind of reach out to anyone,
let alone express yourself and be on the stage with the microphone.
Yeah. So I think for the first several shows, I'm sure I was just staring at the floor, and just kind of like I'm singing here, So it took me a while to kind of break out of that and just realize that I could have fun, and B, it's the music that got me to where got me to get on stage. So let
confidence and stuff.
let that same thing, let the music get you to kind of maybe just project something out. Project a personality out, basically.
Were you writing songs before you joined the band, or like?
I mean, I had written a few songs before the Descendants that were really just me futzing, or like I had no clue what I was doing. I mean, the first song that I wrote for the Descendants was a song I wrote with Tony, Eunuch Boy. That was probably the first one. And then M16, I think M16, maybe Eunuch Boy was first, but then M16 was second.
M16?
M16 was on that first record that we did.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. So they had already come up with all this material before I joined, and we worked it up together and did it. But like a lot of the first songs that got written were Frank's songs or Tony's songs. Bill, all three of them had written, and there was some point where Tony said, "Dude, you're the new member. You should write some songs too." And I said, "Well, okay, I'll bring in some lyrics." And he said, "I'll write some music for it," and that was what Eunuch Boy was. And then he had music from M16, and I wrote words for that.
Okay.
And then finally, I wrote my first kind of complete song for the band. That was Hope.
Wow. Okay. That's
so
amazing.
Hope was the first one that I wrote that was fully mine.
Yeah.
And then so that was and it got me. I think that kind of definitely jump-started the notion of, I should, write a bunch of songs.
And actually the sound of Descendants, too, because it was like this pop influence, too. And like you said before, like new wave, now I get it. Because it wasn't just straight, I don't know, the typical punk. It had more melodies to it. I know Ramones have melodies, too. But I feel like Descendants are kind of originals of kind of, I hate the word pop punk, but like just the poppy vibes and the love songs about relationships, because nobody was singing about that stuff back then.
Yeah, like hardcore, but with a bunch of melody. That kind of thing. I mean, because
but lyrically too, about relationships.
Yeah. I mean, we were really influenced by, obviously the Beatles.
Okay.
Wow. But that was, that was some kind of like a distant influence. The more direct influences were bands of that same era, like Black Flag, obviously. But I was really a huge fan of X. And and X was probably my gateway band into punk rock, really.
Got you.
But then there's this band called The Last, and they actually were neighbors. They were, we lived in the beach cities, and they were also in Hermosa Beach, and they were a band that they took the Beatles and basically made it more aggressive and intense, like a more aggressive, intense version of the Beatles, which is essentially what we were aiming at too.
Yeah.
So when they were, we idolized those guys. They still play out. If you listen to some of Bill's songs, especially, you can hear a lot of Last influence. I mean, it's the idea is to write melodies, but to kind of write really kind of more intricate or complex melodies, and put that over punk rock, and that's kind of what Bill tries to do. But The Last, I'd say if you think about our band as being a kind of amalgam of The Last and Black Flag, that's kind of, that's not so far off the mark.
So those are like the major influences for you.
Yeah.
Was it any particular record or I know you said Black Flag and them, but like they kind of like, holy shit, like this is something I want to, I don't know, like your biggest inspiration, I guess, for your writing and your song. I guess you just said it basically, but
I mean, the Last put this record out called LA Explosion that just blew our minds. I mean, it was. Bill told me this just a few weeks ago because we were hanging out and talking about The Last, and he's like, he put the first time he put on that LA Explosion, he thought, wait a minute, these can't be guys that just live down the street from us. There's no way. How could these guys just be down the street? Because it was like this immediate, like, these guys are geniuses, you know? I mean, it's like, wow, you know, the fact that they could just put together these really, really sophisticated Beatles-esque kind of songs. So I'd say, you know, LA Explosion, all that early Black Flag stuff, and then I got into the Germs. Germs was another band that when I heard, you know, Darby, I was just like, oh, this is, I mean, I want to be that guy, you know? Yeah. Because he obviously he was more of a druggie or whatever, but his approach to singing and his aggression, the aggression that he put into the singing, and the words are just amazing. What he would write as a lyricist. So
when you guys came out with your sound though at that time, for being with all the melody and stuff, did people? Was it really it was like a breath of fresh air in a sense when you guys came out? I feel like when I first heard you, because it was something that was aggressive. I could skate to it. It was harder punk rock, but then also had melodies and had like this pure emotion to it that I didn't feel when I listened to, I don't know, Sex Pistols. I love them. It was something different for me. But then when I hear Descendents, it had like more of a, I don't know, personal message for me. You know what I mean? Like, did you deal with like some heartbreak in high school and stuff, or with girls?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, you know, I would say, you know, all the songs on that first record, they're autobiographical, and so you know, I think we all had girl problems. I mean, and we tried to deal with the girl problems by writing about them. You know, and to I mean, and some, you know, so that's how you end up with a song like My Edge, or that's how you end up with a song like Hope. But I think that was unusual because all the bands at that point were writing about Reagan or whatever.
They were,
you know, and we thought, well, we should just write like Reagan. That whole thing with the politics, we were not. We weren't apolitical, but we were not. It wasn't something that really like affected us in a visceral way. The same way that, you know, a relationship would. And I think we all just thought, you know, we should just be writing about what's happening inside of ourselves, you know, and that's kind of where all those songs ended up coming from. But it was unusual at that point to be doing something like that. I think you know, when that record came out, it didn't really take the world by storm. I think it took a while for people to realize, oh, this is a different take on punk rock. And then once people saw kind of how different it was, you know, relative to all the other punk that was happening, it kind of helped. It helped give it a little bit of more of a you know, kind of like a splash. Yeah,
but then like Wiener Schnitzel and like I Like Food, those songs. I was I didn't even know what a Wiener Schnitzel was. Now I know from going to Europe a million times, but like just stuff like that seems so foreign to me. You know what I mean? Like you guys were so like singing about things that I don't know. It's people need to sing about.
Yeah, that's all. You know, Bill's genius. Bill, Bill's genius and all that is that he took this idea of, well, we should just write about just everyday stuff in our lives.
Okay.
And so, you know, well, what's an everyday stuff that he's really interested was really interested, and that's food. You know.
Yeah.
That's why there's that line in Wiener Schnitzel. It's, well, you know, like we're these young kids. We're full of the hormones. We're adolescents, and we should be, you know, lusting after girls or whatever. But we're lusting after food instead. You know. So
it's amazing, man.
And so that's where that line. There's that line in there where Tony says, I think he ad-libbed it. You want Bill sperm with that?
Yeah.
Like what? What does that mean? Well, I mean, it's like we're lusting after food, you know. And so that's where you end up with some Bill sperm in there.
So wait. So all right. So you do graduate. You're in Descendents, and you do go to college for a little bit, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
But what was your goals at that point? Obviously, you're in Descendents. Obviously, so. Did you want to be a singer? Is this something you dreamed about, being a musician, or just kind of happened? Or did you have goals to do? Obviously, we're going to get to what you actually also do. But like, what was your major, or like, what was your goals?
Yeah. Well, we started when I joined the band, I was thinking, I was just swept up in the whole enthusiasm of the moment, and it was just like, this is the best thing ever. We played shows. It was so much fun. All of it was so much fun. But I never really thought, well, this is going to be my career. It wasn't something that at that point seemed viable. It really wasn't at that point viable.
No.
You know, I think Black Flag,
it's just for fun.
After a few years, Black Flag was able to tour the country.
Yep.
And, you know, and you could see that you could at least maybe make
break
a living.
even.
Yeah, break even.
Yeah, break even. Yeah.
But at that point, I was like, this is fun. This is a blast. But I'm gonna go do my other thing, which is I was really focused on kind of advancing in the academic world, basically.
Yeah.
And so I did. I told Bill and the guys that let's make this record, and I'm gonna go to school, and they were pretty understanding because all they had to do was take a look at me. I'm just like kind of like at that point, especially, I just exuded like nerd energy. It's like, yeah, this is a guy that's gonna do well. He's gonna do well in school, or whatever. So,
but at school, you always had a plan B. A lot of people don't have that. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, you could kind of do both.
Yeah, that's to me has been the most surprising thing about all of it. Looking back on all of it, is that for all the years where I was kind of like, bouncing back and forth amongst these two things, I was always thinking, oh well, the music's great, but I need to have the backup of the stable, science career. And then I come to find, literally just a few years ago, like, whoa, I had it all backwards. Like 180 degrees opposite. The stable thing was the music, and the science career was the one that was sketchy.
Wow.
Yeah, so it just kind of had it all backwards. And that's something I could not have predicted at the start of it all, for sure.
Yeah, so so you're a biologist.
Yeah.
And so how long what was that like becoming that?
Yeah, well, so I went to undergrad down in San Diego, UC San Diego. Got my degree in biology down there, and then after did that, we toured a little bit more. We did some touring in the mid '80s.
Yeah.
And you saw us.
I saw this a bunch of times.
Yeah, and then I went off to grad school at that point. And
after what record was that? What record was that?
After
in between?
All.
Okay.
We did the All record in '87, and then I went back to grad school from '87 to '92. Was in grad school, and I was kind of keeping tabs with what the other guys were doing. They were formed a band called All.
Yeah.
And All was
shout out to
out.
All, great bands.
And All played around, and I would occasionally jump on stage and this kind of thing.
I remember
that. And then in '95, I contacted Bill and said, hey, I got some songs, and maybe we should record. So we made the Everything Sucks in '96.
I know, man.
And at that point I was done with grad school, and I was doing what's called a postdoc, which is what you do when you graduate from when you finish grad school and then you can't find a job, basically.
Okay.
That's the way it works, basically. In certain fields, it's almost de rigueur that you're gonna just do you're gonna do a postdoc, because you have like this surplus of PhD students,
okay,
and not enough jobs, and that's how you end up doing further kind of studies, and so that's why I was doing a postdoc. So I postdoced in Madison, Wisconsin, in the mid '90s, basically.
Okay.
And then finally I moved out to Delaware. This is where I live now.
Yeah, why out there?
Well, my wife got a job at the University of Delaware.
Okay.
And I just followed her there, and I eventually landed a job at DuPont, a big
awesome.
mega corporation there.
Yeah.
And that's where I've been ever since. And I stayed at DuPont from 2001 to 2016.
Oh, wow.
And then they laid me off, and now I'm a musician.
Wow. So that's not the end of it, though. That's not the end of being...
I think it may be the end of it, because I just, I gave it my all.
No pun intended, yeah.
And I think I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, and but in the midst of accomplishing what I wanted to accomplish, I also made a realization that the scientific world is, as I mentioned before, is not the bee's knees.
Yeah. Yeah.
and music is something that has been so much more generous to me.
Yeah, man.
And been so much more kind of for my own development as a person, has been so much more fruitful.
Yeah, and from the beginning, helped you come out of your shell and just be yourself, like you said, and like.
Yeah, and just the notion of, I can be creative, and the sky's the limit in terms of creativity, and I don't have to worry about putting food on my table.
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing.
And your father too. You have a couple, 2 kids.
I got 2 kids.
Yeah. So when did you become a dad? What year was that?
My son was born in 2002. My daughter was born in 2004. So he's about ready to graduate. He's finishing up. He's got a senior year of high
Wow.
school. So,
Yeah, my son's 11th grade now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. So becoming a parent and then also having the song about parents and just being one, it's crazy to be like kind of a punk parent, right?
Yeah,
like,
it is. I mean, I think,
your kids are on stage reading all logistics, reading all that. It's amazing.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore because we don't play the song, but that was fun. You know, part of the reason why when I got back into the band, you know, for the umpteenth time in 2011, because I was at DuPont just kind of doing my DuPont thing.
Yeah.
And I'd reconnected with Bill in 2011, and my daughter was only 7 years old at the time, and I played her some Descendents. She said, well, do you guys ever do this live? And I said, well. Wow. Not really. She said, well, you should, because you should play live. So I'm taking.
So they never get to see you play.
I'm taking orders from my daughter. Like, okay, if you want that to happen, we'll make it happen. So
wow.
So in 2011 we got back together and played shows again. But yeah, so she was kind of like an instigator in terms of all that. So they've been really supportive.
Yeah.
I mean, as a parent, I try to do what my parents did with me, and then I try to just give them free rein to kind of pursue whatever passion they want to pursue. So that's
and you probably some of the ethics you learned from punk rock too, being a dad, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just think that they know, they see what we've done, my wife and I, in terms of kind of setting ourselves up for decent, if you want to put it that way, careers or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think they also have an understanding that they can look for careers where they can follow their passions, and just kind of maybe combine their passions with something that can earn them some money.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, my son's a drummer too. He's in the band, and it's like I'm trying to tell him he likes science actually.
Yeah.
And he's doing some drama. Just have like a plan A, B, and C. But his band's playing shows now. They're playing like these record stores, and they have a buzz, like a grunge kind of band. It's really interesting.
That's cool.
Because I can't play any instruments, but he picked up the drums at a young age,
Yeah. My daughter plays the French horn.
Really?
But she's probably not. Like, I think she could pursue music through the French horn, but she sees what I have kind of done.
Yeah.
And she can read the writing on the wall. She can say, "Dude, you've been extremely fortunate." And I go, "Yeah, I have been extremely fortunate, because there's so many people in my same position who, just the cards weren't, fully right." I mean, she can see what I'm doing and realize that it's not that easy to just kind of land the way I landed.
Yeah.
I feel very fortunate.
It's amazing. You can go and do that and come back to the music and just have us almost like this normal life and come back into this crazy punk world.
That to me that's been the most mind-blowing thing about all it.
And balancing it.
Because I've been a fair weather friend with music.
Okay.
I've done music, and then I've flipped the bird on music and gone and done science.
Yeah.
And every single one of those times, I was just, the expectation in my mind was like, well, that's it. I don't need to do that anymore. And every time I come back, I just go, what? So I mean,
did you miss it? Were you missing it when you?
Yeah, I was missing it.
In between 87 and 96, I think was the gap.
Every time I would leave, I would miss it, and I would just be like, how can I figure out a way to get back into it? And obviously Bill, to his credit, was always supportive of that. And I just, to me, that's been the main thing, is that when I come back and it's still there for me, I just don't know how that works. To me, it's kind of mind-boggling that I could just come back to it like that. And I just feel real grateful. I feel real grateful that people still want to hear it. They still want to come out to the shows.
It's crazy how many different generations of bands and humans you guys have inspired. And then having that comeback, Everything Sucks, was like the biggest comeback record ever, I think, in the history of punk rock. And every single song, I was going to just pick a few, but I can't. I had to write the whole record down. Like every song front to back is just perfect. What did that even feel like to even make that? I think Brett Gurewitz produced that one, did he?
Yeah, Brett.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Bill produced it, but Brett was, kind of footing the bill or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
Epitaph. Right.
But I mean, we were obviously in close contact with Brett through the whole thing. But it was recorded out in the blasting room. Bill's studio blasting room. But I can just remember, when we tracked everything, and it was quite a few songs, many that didn't go on the record really. And I just thought, okay, I had committed to doing this record with the band, but I hadn't committed to anything beyond that. And then all of a sudden, I just said, "Oh, we need to tour to support this band. We need to tour to support this record." 'Cause I just felt like to make a record like that and then not get out and play it for people would have been a real, travesty. Would have been a real shame to not. And then I said, I'm now committing to touring to support this record because I think it's that important.
Did you realize Did you realize how big that was going to be, or anything? You just thought, making a new record together. It's been a very long time. We're going to make this record and put it out, see what happens. No expectations.
Yeah, I had no expectations other than the fact that I knew that Brett was very, very enthusiastic about it. And, he was like, yeah, this is going to be great. And I just kind of rode the wave. And then when we got to the end of it, it's like, that was a great experience. I had so much fun. We made this video for it. I'm the one.
Yeah,
and it was
amazing.
It's like the funnest video I've ever been involved with. We don't do that many videos, but that was just fun. That was real fun.
Great
and
song.
I just thought, you get caught up in the wave of it all, and you just kind of ride it and just have fun with it.
Yeah, and so the last record before that was All, right?
Yeah.
And so that record did good?
Well,
that.
the thing about it, if you look at the sales of any of these records, we never really caught on in terms of the hot new flavor.
Yeah.
That you talk about this record that Brett put out, Everything Sucks, and there was a lot of buzz around it, but it never. I mean, it never caught on the way, say, Green Day caught or anything like that. But at any rate, we those records back in the '80s, those were fairly underground records. Even Milo Goes to College, it has all this cachet now, but it didn't sell very much at the time, and it doesn't sell very much now. Really, it's just.
But when I mean biggest comeback, I don't mean like the biggest song. I mean, I guess the best, perfect album you can make after that long of a hiatus and come back like, boom, we're back.
Yeah.
Not like, it's a million records. It was such an important. Everything about the lyrics and the music, it connected. It was the connection. It was the timing, and it was Descendents are back, and it was like, holy shit. So fuck the sales. It was more like the connection and inspiration was holy shit.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, it definitely renewed my desire to kind of, to kind of get in a van and spend a year, and we toured like dogs for that year. We toured like dogs, and it was a great experience. But after a year of doing that, we all looked at each other and thought, whoa, okay, let's take a little break because we're wiped out. It was like a lot of shows that year. So I mean, but it was worth it because I think. We've got a bond, and we've had a bond. These four guys have had a bond ever since that moment where we jumped in the van especially for Everything Sucks. I mean, we toured it for the All record. We toured it for as well, but I think it really solidified it in Everything Sucks for sure. Yeah,
I mean, now to go back to a little bit, like obviously Bonus Fat, Milo Goes to College, I Don't Want to Grow Up, Enjoy. This just some of the songs for me, like. I don't know, Silly Girl and Clean Sheets and Hope and Marriage. And I mean, it's all different records. Just so many of those topics. Sour Grapes, 80s Girl, Hurtin' Crew, Wendy. And then just the farting on the records. All of a sudden, you guys are farting on records. Like, who does that shit? Like, nobody. So coffee and farting was like the two things, like, it was shocking to me as a kid. I'm like, this is crazy. But I know the farting came in through Bill because he had some flatulence problems and, right?
Well, now he's bowed out. He's bowed out from that. I'm
retired from farting.
I'm the main contributor in terms of that. Bill has had he's had some health scares in the past, and he had a brain tumor in 2011.
Yes.
And one of the outcomes of having that brain tumor, which they removed, but one of the outcomes of having that brain tumor is that he lost his sense of smell.
Really?
And so now it's weird because. He doesn't like farting anymore, and it's still something I have to come to grips with. Like, dude, you mean you don't want me to fart anymore? What? It's like no, don't fart anymore.
Because you can't appreciate the smell.
Well, he says because I can't smell it, I don't know how toxic it really is. Like like the canary in a coal mine. He wants to like if you knew how toxic it was, you could run away. But because he doesn't know how toxic it is, he feels like he's,
wow, it's not funny anymore. This is over.
Yeah. So now I now I can really kind of torture him.
Was there any weird feedback back then when you guys farting on records and stuff like that? Or no?
Well, I mean, Enjoy is probably our least favorite record. It's probably
your least favorite.
Well, I was going to say it's the least well received record.
Wow, I love that record. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I like it too, but I think people didn't get the joke, and it's like whatever. We're kind of susceptible. We're suckers for really infantile humor.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And I'll go to my grave laughing at farts.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll fart when I'm on my deathbed. I'll fart and I'll laugh. That's probably how it works. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys had like crazy lyrics too on a lot of songs back then. Obviously, stuff. And it's a PC world now, so some things can't be.
Yeah. And
I know they came from a not a hateful and whatever kind of what people would think now, but it's just being kids and talking shit and
and then some of them haven't aged well. We've tried to kind of like look at the set list and go, yeah, we're not going to play that song anymore. We've done that with a few songs.
Do you ever change lyrics or stuff or not?
I've tried to change. So we have this if the main culprit is probably Loser.
Yep.
Frank wrote that.
Yep.
And like you said, I mean, written in 1979.
Yeah.
A different era. It doesn't make it right, but also using the H word, as an epithet, as a not to refer to someone who's gay or whatever, but just as a
Yeah.
So that's kind of a thing that's of the past.
Yeah.
So I would change that now. I did change it back in the day to something else, like I used to say something else instead, and then I realized, well, if I'm saying this other thing that's not so bad, the kids in the audience are still saying the original words. So then we stopped playing it all together. It's just like, okay, forget it.
And you never caught shit for that either, because that was pre-internet.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think the thing is, I think now you've got everything that can just go viral.
Oh yes, yeah.
But I think it was time when we finally retired. It was way past time, really.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did it. But we all.
It was 1979. That's crazy.
We all have wives.
Yeah.
And we all have I'd say kind of a very diverse outlook on the world.
And your parents now, all that shit changes.
So it's like it took us a while to grow up, but we've grown up to some degree.
So do you feel like you actually grew up? You feel like I mean, yes, you're a scientist, you have children, you have a career, but also, do you feel like this music, it keeps us young in a sense where, like when I'm on tour, I'm swearing, I have no responsibilities, I'm not driving my kid to school, and when they're van full of dudes talking stupid shit today, like I feel like it kind of keeps you young in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why I keep coming back to the band.
Yeah.
Because I have this
from the adult life.
Yeah, I go into the adult life, and I'm a scientist, and it's just kind of boring, and I feel like every time I come back, it's because I feel like I've lost something.
Yeah.
I've lost some sort of youthfulness, and I come back to the band, and it's immediately I'm injected with that energy that I missed when I was doing science, and so it does keep you young. I mean, I'll still write songs that are totally crude and sophomoric, and to see if I can get away with it. But it does keep you young. I think I think with my kids coming to the shows, that was just another way to kind of like stay young.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's been great. It's been great because I feel like my kids view me as a really unusual parent, because I've got this whole thing that I do that's much more of like a kid's thing as opposed to an adult.
It's a totally
thing.
different world, man.
Yeah.
So when you're in Delaware, like, do people know you or recognize you or know you from? Do they know that you're in this other band? Like, do they know you?
I mean, I'll occasionally get recognized, but I mean, it's not. To me, it's fine. I when I do get recognized, it's kind of fun, because it's like, it's like out of the blue, someone just kind of,
you're like Clark Kent, like you have like this whole demeanor. Then you're on stage, you're this.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy.
I think I've had people
two lives.
When I was at DuPont, I had people from my job coming to see me play, and they were like, kind of, really kind of flabbergasted by the whole thing. Like, wait a minute, you're not like that normally. So why are you like that on stage? I was like, well, this is another side of me that's coming out.
Even your kids seeing you for the first time must have been like, oh, that's my dad.
What the hell? He doesn't act that way at home.
Did your parents go see you play?
Yeah, I don't know if my dad ever did. My mom saw me numerous times.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's actually still alive. And
wow.
But she's now at the age, like, last couple of times we played in L.A., she said, "Oh, I should come to the show." And I said, "No, it's going to be too hard to navigate the whole, where do you put him side stage?"
Yeah, it's stressful.
And she's 90 years old, so it's like
90.
Yeah.
Wow. So. You think she listened to some of your songs and the lyrics back then or anything or not? Your parents, even that song?
I'll have to ask her about that. I think that's the thing with my parents again. I mean, they probably listened to all of it and were just horrified, right? But they were like, this is his gig.
Yeah.
This is what he's doing. It's a creative outlet, and
totally.
And they probably just had to kind of shrug their shoulders and, because any parent, who would listen to what we did back then would be like, whoa, what are these? This is out there. Do
you find yourself with your kids' music? What do they listen to? My son listens to like really new, bad, like mumble rap. He's into death metal. So we found like two types of music that kind of we didn't turn him on to. He's heard punk his whole life and other types of music, but like he's into like crazy death metal, and he kind of found a way to rebel against us, I guess. Yeah,
my son went through a period of being into EDM, and I
oh wow,
yeah, and I was like, I was a little bit, concerned, like, oh no, my son can't be into EDM. But then he got into rap. He kind
my
of.
son's into hip hop. Yeah.
Now he's into hip hop and he's into trap and
Max too. Yeah.
And I find trap really funny because no matter where you are, if someone's playing trap, all you hear is that hi-hat.
Yeah.
Like if they got headphones on, you can hear the hi. You can hear just you don't hear anything but the hi-hat went through headphones.
Wow.
Whenever
so what are some artists? Do you know any names? If Milo starts talking about trap music, this is gonna be amazing.
Oh, but
the mumble stuff. Is he like Travis Scott?
Yeah, he likes Travis
Scott. I took my son to that show. There was stage diving. There was a mosh pit.
Yeah.
I looked at my son and go, "Why are they mosh?" He goes, "Why did they mosh at your show?" I was like, "All right, fair."
Yeah.
It was crazy, man.
Yeah,
Travis Scott.
He likes a lot of really obscure trap because I can't name any of them because they're just, and he goes on the Spotify and he says, "Check this guy out. He's only got like 20,000 views. He's really underground and he's listening to all this stuff,
Wow. So, it's cool when your kids can educate you on it because I grew up with hip hop too. Like a lot of the old stuff. So I play my son the old hip hop. He plays like the new stuff, and then like some of this really intense death metal. I say, why don't you check out like Slayer or maybe Obituary? He's like, nah, this is a real okay. Because he wants to find his own thing,
So he's death metal and hip hop together.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
But then his band sounds like Mr. Bungle on some like some grunge music. It's weird, man. It's it's cool. Interesting. Have you gone to a hip hop show with your kids or anything or no?
No, but definitely my son he's getting to that age where he's starting to ask, like, I mean.
Wait, how old is he again?
He's almost, he's 17, so he's.
Oh wow, yeah.
I mean he's like he could go to the shows, and so like. I was looking at my phone at Songkick because Songkick is where you can look at it.
Yeah.
It shows what bands are playing, and some hip hop band popped up, and he's like, they're playing locally, and I was kind of like, this is cool because he's doing what I was doing when I was his age. Like, I got to go see some local bands.
But we had to find a flyer or something.
Yeah. Back then it was a flyer. Now it's Songkick. It's
just on your phone. That's crazy too.
Yeah.
So like you guys, it's crazy. Like it was almost like. You were not a time warp, but you were gone for such a long period. Everything changed, internet, all. Then you came back with everything sucks. It's just a whole new world. And then to come back and all these people love you, and this young and old people at your shows, and you guys are bigger than you ever were before, and it's crazy, man.
Crazy. It's to me, it's been just a complete windfall in the sense that it was not anything I ever expected, not even something I really even thought I wanted.
Yeah.
When I was back and doing my science gig, like, oh, I'll just do science. But, just in the past few years where like I got laid off by DuPont, and then I said, well, you know what? Maybe music should be my career. So like, as of like 2016, music became a quote unquote career. And that's been amazing because I realized that there's all these things that when I was treating it more as a hobby, I wasn't getting down to the nitty gritty of what
Yeah.
music can be for me, what music can help me become.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of being a songwriter, or in terms of
Yeah.
being a singer, even just
Yeah.
learning how to kind of to not lose my voice, or to.
I was going to ask you that
Yeah.
because we had some issues. You do warm-ups now?
I do warm-ups. I do all that. You know,
Me too. I love it.
And I just, it's something where
Taking it seriously, it's your tool.
taking it seriously, and you know, you think, well, now that it's a career, well, now it's going to be dumb and boring and old. But no, taking it as a career means that all these things that I used to just not care about, I care about a lot.
Yeah.
And now that means that it's a challenge, and I have a whole new set of challenges I never had before, because of the fact that it's something that's like, this is my thing, you know.
And it's crazy this late in your career to even feel that way and be re-inspired at your age and everything you've been through and how long your band's been around, and so now it's like a full-time thing.
Yeah.
When it really
yeah.
wasn't before in the early beginnings, when you're young and you're hungry and you put all these amazing records out. It's just...
Yeah, I think it's part of the reason why it's worked out the way it has is actually when I would go away and do my other thing, and I think it gave the band breathing room.
Yeah.
And we've had a shit ton of breathing room, and I think what that means is when we come back to it, we're really energized.
Appreciate it more. You're
Yeah,
energized,
we appreciate it more.
inspired.
We're energized. And now when we go out and tour, we try to do smaller chunk tours for that same reason, because
Yeah.
we feel like we want to get out there and, you know, maybe we're only going to go out for 4 shows in a row, but those 4 shows we're going to be like really like attacking the shows.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to like, oh, let's go jump in the van for like 3 months like we used to do.
Man.
And then, you know, I think at that point your energy for that thing kind of your performance might suffer. The energy of it kind of goes down.
It
after a
drains you.
while.
It sucks the life out of you being in the
Yeah.
van that long, man.
Yeah.
It's draining. People don't realize like the touring in the van and those long tours, and you love what you do, but you have family at home. There's a lot of sacrifices, and you know, just playing that many shows, you can really get burnt. And
Yep.
you want to be friends first and foremost. Like I'm lucky to say that all my band were best friends
That's
on
great.
and off stage, and same with you guys. You have a relationship where it's not just on stage, and it's all about how you tour too. That can change a lot, man.
Yeah, and we've tried to keep it. We've tried to keep the cadence of the shows such that we're friends now, and we want to be friends tomorrow. We want to be friends. We want to be friends 10 years from now.
Yeah.
And that's been and we want it to be fun, and so that's been the kind of the rationale behind doing it the way we've been doing it. So
Yeah, I know what Descendents mean to me. I know what Descendents mean to everybody listening. What does it mean to you? What does it represent to you? You think?
I mean, I think it represents a friendship, like we're just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
You know, and basically what you're doing is you're sharing this really, really intense part of your life with these other 3 people.
Yeah.
And that's a really special bond, obviously.
Yeah.
And then for me, just the idea of having this, you know, not just a creative outlet, but like just the best ever creative outlet.
Yeah.
As a way of saying, you know, I never thought that I could, you know, write songs, or just, you know, every new song I write, I kind of feel like, wow, man, that was like a whole different thing for me. And you know, the sky's the limit. You know, you write a song and you kind of go, wow, that's like this record that we're making a record right now. And I've never really collaborated with Stefan on music.
Okay.
Or on songs. I mean, he would bring in his songs, I would bring in mine.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the few times that we had collaborated on songs, I felt like it was an experiment gone awry. Like a song like Schizophrenia or something like that. It's like, what were you thinking? Like that just didn't work. So,
Yeah.
but like he came in with all these songs without lyrics.
Yeah.
And I said, well, okay, here we go. I'm going to start tackling the things. And he and I have written about 15 or 16, you know, songs with his music, my words, and it's just been the most amazing thing.
Wow.
And, you know, to think about that, it's like, you know, we're now in our 50s and we're still inventing new ways to make music, and it's just
Yeah.
great that way.
That's amazing, man. Shoot, I think I covered a lot of stuff, man. I was gonna ask you something else though. Oh, so do you have any regrets in life?
Well, I mean, I guess my one regret is I didn't figure it out earlier. You
Yeah.
know, that this was where I was meant to be. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I kept thinking, no, science is where I'm supposed to be, and the music's just this hobby thing. If I'd have figured it out, you know, back in the 80s or 90s that music was where I was meant to be. Who knows what would have happened.
We might never get Everything Sucks though.
No, that's the thing. It's weird because I look back and think, well, maybe if I would have figured it out back then, things would have been, even better. But maybe they would have been worse, because we've talked about how you have to take these. The nature of my psyche is I need to take these breaks maybe to kind of rejuvenate. Yeah. And maybe that wouldn't have worked out so well if I just would have been like career music guy from day one. So,
yeah, and all the timing worked perfect for you guys. Yeah. All like the gaps, everything, man. Yeah. Like
it's been great.
What's your favorite Descendents album?
Oh shit. That's hard. It's the one I'm making right now.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. It's the one you're making now?
Yeah, it's the one we're making right now for sure.
But you said Enjoy was maybe least favorite, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think,
There's so many great songs there. Wendy, Sour Grapes.
Yeah,
80s
I mean,
girl, fuck.
Milo Goes to College obviously has a special place in my heart just because of the kind of circumstances in which it got made and just the fact that it kind of documented especially Bill's and my kind of friendship in terms of becoming musicians together. Yeah. So Milo Goes to College, great. Everything Sucks, that's got to be up there. And then, Hypercathium is a record that I think
that's the latest one. Yeah,
I mean, and that's something where I think we, every record we make, we come in with some different approach to it. Yeah. And that one, I think it's got some good songs in it too.
On Cool to Be You, One More Day, that song makes me completely emotional.
Oh, yeah.
It's really heavy because I lost my dad when I was a kid. I never had a really relationship with him, but
we started to play that one live a little bit, and Bill had to kind of get over, I don't know if I can play this live. Am I going to be able to make it back on the drumming? Is he going to be able to actually make it through the song? Because he wrote the song. Yeah. But I mean, we play that one live, and it's really I get little goosebumps sometimes when I sing it because it's so heartfelt about him and his dad.
It's so real that the whole thing is just like so honest, man. That must have been like therapeutic for him to even write that. Yeah,
he wrote another one for Evan Dandu for the Lemonheads about his dad called Steve's Boy.
Oh, really?
Steve's Boy is in the same vein as One More Day. Okay. So check out Steve's Boy because it's if you know the story behind One More Day and then you hear Steve's Boy, you'll be like, oh fuck. It's like he double dipped. He double dipped.
He's a sick song. What about who would be your hero or role model?
Well, for many years I just wanted to hang out with John Doe. I mean, just like John Doe from X. And I had met him a variety of number of times, and each time I'd meet him, I'd be that guy like going, so you get
starstruck with him.
I totally get starstruck by him. I mean, he's just the coolest guy ever. And I met him pretty recently. I met him for like the third or fourth time in Tulsa last year, and I finally was able to tell him, like, look, I totally did the Punisher thing. I was like, I was totally like fanboy. Yeah. And I could tell he's like ready to, kind of, find the nearest exit. Cause like this guy's gonna be a fanboy.
I'm sure he knows Descendents.
No, but I mean, I just had to tell him.
And you're a grown man doing that. I respect.
I know,
it, so I do it too.
I wasn't getting all weepy with him, but I was just like, hey, dude, this is meaning that you mean so much to me, and so that's probably my guy. Yeah, is John.
You had
Doe.
a good moment with him.
Yeah. So he's just so cool, and writes such great songs, and and I just appreciate how he's made his way through the kind of vagaries of the music business or whatever. And kind of landed in a really comfortable spot in terms of kind of what he can be as a musician, and the kind of the legacy of X and all that kind of stuff. So
so he's your top dude.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Did you ever like any like New York music? Any of that hardcore scene there? Or was that?
Well, I guess you wouldn't call Bad Brains that, but Bad Brains was my jammer for so long. They're so great.
Minor Threat.
Minor Threat's great. Yeah, love those guys. Yeah. Yeah. I think Ramones obviously.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when the bands like Agnostic Front were around, we were doing a whole different shtick than what they were doing. Yeah. But those DC bands though, probably for me it was more DC than New York. I loved Scream.
Scream's a great band.
Great.
Still Screaming those records. This Side Up.
Yeah.
I think it's a very underrated band, man. I think.
Yeah. I love This Side Up. The first one's Still Screaming. Those are both good.
How about 7 Seconds?
7 Seconds, great.
Massive 7 Seconds.
We used to tour a lot with those guys back in.
You ever hear Verbal Assault from Rhode Island?
I've heard the band name. I should check them out
They're
sometime.
like lyrically and everything about them. They were like way ahead of their time with lyrics and sounds and
I'll have
music.
to check that out.
Yeah, really smart. Really smart.
Yeah, I like the DYS from up in, that's Smalley's band.
Yeah,
DYS was good.
Did you guys have any I guess were you guys ever, was it weird to play in New York for you guys CBGBs? Did you guys like playing those kind of places in those cities?
Yeah, it was always fun to play.
Yeah, I think I saw you guys there too.
CBGB's, it was a total dump.
Yeah.
But you on the same time you walk in and you go like, we're playing CBGB's.
Yeah.
Fucking, this is where it all started. You know? And that's really is where it all started. So it's kind of it was a special place. I went there with my family, and we were walking around, and I guess that's kind of more southern Manhattan there, lower Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I said, we were near Bleecker Street, and I said, well, we got to go see if CBGB's is over there. And we go over there, and my kids are like, what are you doing, Dad? We got to go catch the subway, blah, blah. And we go there, and it was like a clothing store or something.
Oh, yeah, that's right, John Barbados.
Yeah.
So my God.
So I was like, oh, man.
Were there besides X, was there a band that you wish Descendents got to play with? That didn't get to play with?
I mean, I guess I would have loved to play with the Germs, but they broke up. They broke up before. I mean, there was an overlap there, but they were just such a short-lived band.
Yeah,
it never really happened. But yeah, because I think of those three bands, X, Germs, Black Flag, to me are like, for my personal development as just a musician, I copped things from all three of those.
Yeah.
Germs
inspired,
X, inspired by Germs, X, Black Flag. So yeah, I guess probably the Germs.
And then on your most recent record, you talk about food and stuff. Have you guys chilled out on certain things you're eating because you're older now? You guys talked about a lot of fast food and all the records and stuff. But now you get older, your health. Like, do you exercise? Are you a healthy person eating? And
well, yeah. Like my daughter's vegetarian, and I've tried to be vegetarian with her, and I consider myself more of like a pescatarian right now. I still need to have some fish now and again. But she says, oh, that's okay because it's a little less, cruel or whatever.
So she became vegetarian all on her own?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I can say that one time I was veggie with her for like 6 months. I lost like 15 pounds.
Really?
So it's definitely a good way to be. I just, it's like I do my best. But I try to stay, I try to, go to the gym and,
nice.
I try to stay healthy as best I can.
You have daily rituals, like besides coffee in the gym, like do you meditate or yoga or anything?
No, I just go on like a lot of walks with my wife.
Nice.
My wife and I like to walk, and my daughter's a runner, so I was trying to start running with her, but I'm too damaged. Because I was like in cross country in high school, but I keep thinking I could pick it up again. But
HR from Bad Brains was Olympic swimmer. That's what he wanted to be. Yeah,
that's great.
In Liverpool,
he
told me, and he was also he was like a #1 pole vaulter. So that's how he does the backflips.
Oh yeah, right.
He was a gymnast too.
Okay, that's cool.
It's pretty amazing, man.
Yeah, he's another idol of mine. I mean, yeah,
he's like one of the best frontmen ever.
Such a great singer, such a great lyricist, and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, the Bad Brains were like, you played with them back then, I'm sure.
I don't know if I don't think we ever played with them.
Really?
I saw them so many times.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure we ever shared a bill with them, which is
really
unusual. My favorite times of seeing them was probably in San Diego. Well, actually, we saw them at the Whiskey, like in 82 or so. And then I saw them down in San Diego at a tiny club. Everyone's stage diving, and I stage dived, and it's great. I mean, they would play like half an hour of just the most, face blistering punk rock, and then they'd be like, okay, let's play some reggae. And they'd reggae for a while, and then they'd go back to the other, and it's a great. No other band was doing that.
Nobody was doing that, man. Do you feel like looking back now on everything that you've achieved in your life and all the records you put out and the touring and the music and where punk rock is at now, and I think we pretty much covered it anyway, though. I know it's changed, but like it's amazing that it's went through all these different generations and we can still play music, man. People still come, and there's people bringing their kids to the show now. It's like
I don't know whoever said punk's dead. Punk's dead. They were wrong. Punk's not dead. No, I think the nature of the music is so. I mean, it's important. It's so now. It has a very healthy love of immaturity.
Yeah.
And so of course the next generation is going to embrace that.
Yeah.
Some kid who's like 14 years old, and they're listening to some band who's totally flipping off their parents.
Yeah.
So I want that. So I think it's the nature of the music that brings new kids into it, because it's for the kids.
Yeah.
It's for the youth. And so it's been fabulous, because we have shows where dad shows up with his kid. We probably even had a situation where granddad shows up.
I'm sure.
With dad.
Yeah.
With dad. 3 generations.
Yeah.
And that's just like beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now we're parents and still playing music. It's very, it's amazing. And I have such a different respect for my mom since I became a parent. My mom raising 3 boys on her own. My mom, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's been great.
No tattoos for you, right?
No,
You made it through. You made it through.
I keep thinking I'm gonna get one though. It still may happen, because my
Really?
Well, my son's saying, "Oh, I got to get a tattoo," and I'm thinking,
man, that's because that mumble rap. Everybody's got tattoos.
Yeah. Well, so if I said, well, first of all, you got to pick something that it's got to be something you want to have forever. So it's a forever thing.
Yeah.
So there's that. But then I said, dude, if you get one, I may get one myself, just because I've talked about it for a long time that I would get one. The thing is like I was saying, you want something that it's going to be with you forever. So that's when you start thinking really long and hard, and you end up talking yourself out of it. Like, well, for me, it was like, for a while, it was going to be something science related.
Yeah.
So I was going to
awesome.
I was going to get like the DNA molecule or something really artistic with DNA, because I always worked with DNA and genes.
That'd be
and all
awesome. Yeah.
And then I get laid off, and it's like, well, fuck you. Then I'm not going to do it, because now I'm not a scientist anymore. Now, DNA is still cool, but it's not. It doesn't define me anymore. And so then I'm back at square one.
H2O, we're actually molecules, right?
Yeah. Well, you guys are a molecule.
Sick.
Totally. Yeah. So you have a H2O, you have a molecule on you?
Yes, I do.
Very good. So you got a molecule. I should probably get DNA still.
It'd be cool to get your first tattoo in your 50s.
Yeah. Well, I don't think, I'm never going to get all inked up, but I would definitely.
How about a Descendents tattoo?
No.
It's too weird.
Yeah. I don't like wear Descendants shirts. It's like one of those things, like, because also it's a little different for me, because if I get a Descendants tattoo, it would probably end up being that face, and it's like, that's a little too strange.
It's you and yourself.
Yeah.
Who drew that originally?
This guy Roger Dorline, he was a high school chum of mine, and he used to draw it during class when he was bored, and he would make these cartoons, like cartoon strips with the panels.
Yeah.
And he'd have me in the cartoon, doing like goofy stuff, being a dork or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's how it got started. And then Bill, for that first record, said, well, we should use that cartoon on there. And
that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much effect you had on people who wear glasses too in punk rock. And you used to wear those bands around them on stage.
I still wear those.
Yeah, and like kids because kids might have felt like uncomfortable going to shows wearing glasses. And like, oh my God, Milo wears glasses. It's kind of cool. You made that cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd like to think maybe being a nerd is not so uncool anymore. Maybe being a nerd now is more cool, and maybe I had a role in that. And that to me,
you definitely had a role in that.
Is great. Yeah.
You made people feel comfortable to wear if they wear glasses, or actually if they were smart and they could and they could pass, because everybody thought like punk rockers like fuck school, fuck your parents, fuck this,
right,
and you were like, I'm gonna be educated and I'm still gonna play punk rock and kill it. So that was a whole different twist to it, I think. Yeah,
I kind of think that
it's okay to be smart and you can be punk rock too.
Yeah, that's well said.
You know what I mean? Like, well, I think I covered a lot with you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
This is huge for me because obviously a big inspiration to me. You, Kevin Seconds, Ian Mackay, some of the people I looked up to as a father figure. You're probably not much older than me, but when I'm looking at you guys up here, it's like something different. But like growing up without a dad, listening to your lyrics and relating to your lyrics at a very young age. So I appreciate you, everything you've done with the music, and continue to do, and the impact you're on my life and my whole band. And my family, and my wife, and my friends, and
fantastic.
And I'm glad you're back, and everybody missed you, and everybody was always there waiting for your band to come back, and it's exciting to see you guys
now
still
we're back
killing
for
it.
Good.
Yeah, there's your new career starting in the 2000s.
Right, exactly. We're gonna do this. I'll just die on stage at this point. Yeah.
But thank you so much, Milo. I appreciate it. I think we're good. I think we did great on here.
Okay.
I think we covered a lot of shit. Did we cover a lot of shit?
Oh yeah.
What I usually do on this podcast, I've done with a lot of people, is that if I do listen back and I forgot some questions, I might call you on the phone.
Yeah.
If that's okay with you.
That's cool.
Because we're in a van right now. It's super awkward. I got to piss really bad, and we play an hour and 15 minutes. So
Yeah, you got to go warm up.
yeah, I do my vocal warm-ups.
Do your warm-ups.
All right, awesome, Milo.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, guys. Thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast, please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to hear the next one.